my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about budgeting. So when it comes to budgeting in general, I feel one big aspect that is constantly overlooked by a lot of people is mapping out your bills. So first I'm going to start with mapping out your bills. I'm going to go into some new expenses that I'm going to be having this month, and then I will go a little bit over my budget. I'm not going to go that in depth in my budget just because it is going to be changing here in the next few weeks, and I'll go over why that is. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to stick around and check out the rest of the video. First things first, let's talk about mapping out your bills. What I commonly see is that a lot of people just look at their gross income and then they assume that they have enough money to make it throughout the month. That's one thing. And then also they're not accounting for their net income, which is after taxes have been taken out. Fun fact, typically, all American families pay about 1/3 of their gross income in taxes. So the reason why you want to map out your bills on a monthly basis is because, yes, overall throughout the month, you do get a certain amount of money, but that necessarily doesn't line up with the way that your bills come out. So for instance, let's just say majority of your bills come out in the first half of the month. We're gonna use the fictional situation that you get paid bi-weekly. You don't have money in your checking account to account for that, then therefore you're gonna be dipping into savings and getting payday loans or whatever it may be that you need to last you until you get paid again. I think would be best if you got a calendar, a blank calendar, actual physical calendar. Let's start with that one first. So not on your Google Calendar, not that, hold off on that. So first you'd get a blank calendar, write out all your bills and when they're due as it pertains to the calendar. Then you're gonna write down when you actually get paid. So once that's done, then now you can start calculating what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. So once you have your bills mapped out and you're seeing how much money you're paying on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, then your budget starts to work a little bit better for you if you're in the scenario where you know that you make enough money, but somehow your bills just aren't lining up and you feel that you're scrambling from week to week or month to month to get through. So try that out. Those of you that haven't tried that out, and then in the comments let me know how that goes. Try it for about a month or two and then come back, because the first month you'll just be like, oh, okay, I see what she's talking about, and then that second month it should be flowing a little bit better. Moving on to other things, I wanted to talk about what new expenses that I have for the month of September. One is my student loans. Those come out to $376 and some change. I have 3 different student loans. My goal for the year is to pay off $7,000 of my $32,000 that I owe. My goal within that is, one, to make 2 payments a month, and then also make weekly payments. Just like, girl, how many payments are you making? So I'll break that down a little bit better. Every 2 weeks, I have a designated amount of money that goes to my secondary checking account, which is a sinking funds to a certain extent. In that sinking funds account, part of that money is accounted for my student loans, and then the other part of that money is accounted for when I have insurances coming out and whichever other things are set up to come out of that account. Also, what I like to do is go through at the end of the week and then actually see how much money that I have left over there that I can actually throw to the student loans. Sometimes that amount is only about $30 to $50. Sometimes it's like $75 to about $150, depending on what bills I have coming out that week or before I get paid again. Another reason why, if I'm mapping out my bills, I already know, like, hey, I want to make an extra student loan payment here. Hey, but I actually have a payment coming out in 3 days that's $50. So if I have a payment that's coming out in 3 days that's $50 and I have $150 in my account, and there's nothing else happening with that account, I know that I have $100 extra to get. I don't like to have my account just at zero. So me personally, I would probably just make an additional $50 payment, leave the other $50 there. You never really know what happens. And that's how mapping plays a role again in being able to see how many extra payments that you can make. So that was going really well for me, and that's also something that I used previously when I was paying off my car a few years ago. And I tell you that I paid off my car so fast. So originally I had got a 5-year loan on my vehicle, but I ended up paying it off in like 17 or 18 months. And I'm just saying, like, once I started that whole gazelle intensity that Dave Ramsey talks about, it really kicked in, and I was really able to see such an astonishing difference. I'm gonna put my ideal budget on the screen right here. And what that budget really represents, that is all of the bills that I have for the whole entire month. I actually got this sheet from vertex.com. It's free. You just go on, you scroll down to the bottom, and you do zero-based budget, and then you can download it and delete stuff and then put whatever bills that you have. That is how I like to ensure that I'm staying on track of my budget. Good news, is that I'm gonna be eliminating one of my bills. So originally I had Cox internet, and then I had the T-Mobile internet. So now I'm finally able to cancel out my Cox internet. So that should be $100 and something that I'm gonna be saving on a monthly basis. I don't know how I'm gonna redistribute that just yet, because starting October, I told myself that I was gonna max out my 457 contributions and cut back a little bit on the money that I was sending over to my emergency fund. And speaking of emergency funds, I just wanted to say that if you don't have an emergency fund, I would highly advise you to start one and have it in a high yield savings account. Some people have theirs in a money market account, but you never know when something is going to happen now. But at the minimum, I would start with the $1,000, once again, that Dave Ramsey suggests. And then after that, I would then bump it up to 3 months of expenses, 6 months of expenses, and then my personal cap is just 6 months of salary. Then I put a cap on there because I feel anything more than that would just be wasted money. That money could then be being invested into other things to bring me in more money. Don't have an emergency fund, start today. When I first started a few years ago, I didn't really know that I was gonna have that be my emergency fund. But the budgetista, Tiffany Aliche, she was doing her Live Richer challenge, and I wasn't doing it, but my sister was doing it, and she told me about it. She was just like, hey, I think that you should start this account. And at that time, I was just like, I already had my regular checking account, but she was like, no, you're able to gain more interest, which would mean more money in your pocket. And then I want to say when I originally signed up, I probably was contributing like $10 the pay period. And then one day I looked over there and I had a couple $100 because I wasn't really thinking about it. And then like I bumped it up to 25, and then I bumped it up to 250, and then I bumped it up to $300 some, and then I bumped it up to 515, which is where it's at now. And that number, $515, is based off of me wanting to save $10,000 by the end of the year. That's why it was at where it's at. So at the beginning of the year, what I typically do, I would just come up with a number as I'm working towards saving 6 months of my salary. And I'll just be like, hey, this is how much I want to contribute for the whole entire year. I will then take that number, divide that by 26, being that I get 26 paychecks throughout the year, and then whatever that number is, I will just have that contribution go there each month automatically, which ties in, automating things. I love to automate as many things as possible. So as many bills as I can automate, I will. I will automate all the savings, cutting back on my emergency fund just because I do want to max out my 457. I know some people are going to be like, so you're paying off debt and contributing to your emergency fund, like aren't those contradictory of each other? This is what I'm doing over here on this side. So whatever you like to do, a lot of people say after you have your $1,000 emergency fund, a lot of people being Dave Ramsey and a few other financial guru type of people, after you have your $1,000 emergency, stop contributing to your emergency fund and therefore start dishing all that money out into your debts. My overall goal when it comes to student loans is to have those all paid off by the end of 2024. So I don't think that a year is going to make or break me. So if it was going to take me quite a bit of time and I was going to be racking up so much money in interest for those loans, then yes, I would highly advise for whomever to just have their emergency fund and then shovel out the rest to debts. But as I said, a year, I'm not going to accumulate that much interest, and I'm still going to be throwing lots of money. Not as much as I could, but enough to where I feel that it's more beneficial to have my 457 maxed out versus, you know, the little bit of money that I might pay in interest here. And as we know, when it comes to time and like compound interest and things like that, the more time you have, the more money that you're able to make. That's pretty much it in regards to budgeting. I say it all the time, budgeting is truly life changing, is transformative. As long as you create a budget that's realistic, you're not acting off of impulse. That's something that every now and then I still struggle with myself, is making just simple impulsive spends. And I'm working on that, you know. Takes time to perfect it. I don't have quite yet a perfected budget. I'm still a human. I'm still a consumer to a certain extent. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you have going on with your own budget. And as usual, I'll catch you guys in the comments into the next video. Bye.